Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today we're going to continue my segments on analysing the Necron Codex. We're going to go on to Transcendent C'tan next. You know, those star gods the Necrons have got to kind of enslave and use them for their own purpose, though I believe there's a lot of backstabbing and other things going on. But we don't care about that. We're going to be talking about the unit on the field. So how this works, I'm going to have a look at the unit as you see in the codex, have a look at stats, special abilities, war gear options, etc. After that, we're going to have a look at loadout and role suggestions for Transcendent C'tan. We're going to have a look at, I think it was the cosmic, the Catan Powers suggestions, stratagems, warlord traits, if applicable. So with that, let's have a look at the Transcendent C'tan. So Transcendent C'tan is movement 8, weapon skill and bliss skill 2+, strength and toughness of 7, 8 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 10, and a 4+ save. And overall, those are pretty not bad. It's not getting quite to the all-important strength 8, which would be lovely, but certainly with wounds that are good enough but not going to get targetable. The only thing I'd probably say is lacking in that is the fact that they only have 4 attacks, but we'll go into that later. In terms of weaponry, we have the Crackling Tendrils, which are user strength, -4 P and D6 damage. As the Necrodermis, which is 4 up invul, Powers of Catan, it knows 2 Powers of Catan and it can use 1 at the end of each of its movement phase. Reality Unraveled basically explodes on a if it reaches 0 wounds on D6 4+. Every unit within 3 inches suffers D3 mortal wounds. Enslaved Star God, it can't have a warlord trait, so we're not going to discuss them. Fractured Personality, before the battle you can pick one of the abilities opposite to apply to this model for the duration of battle. Alternatively, you can roll 2d6 to determine 2 abilities and apply them both to this model for the duration of the battle. Duplicate results have no effect. So there is 6 of them to go by. There's Cosmic Tyrant, which allows you to do 2 Catan Powers essentially in a turn. Immune to Natural Law, which is added 1 saving throws, so your armor save and your invul would essentially be 3+. Your armor save and your invul save. Sentient Necrodermis, this model regains D3 lost wounds at the start of each turn. Transdimensional of your turn, not both your opponents. Transdimensional Displacement, when this model advances, add 12 to its move characteristic for that movement phase instead of rolling a dice. Entropic Touch, you can reroll failed wound rolls for this model in the fight phase. And Writhing Worldscape, enemies do not receive bonus to their saving throw for being covered while they're within 12 inches of this model. So that's kind of how the Transcendent C'tan works in the Codex. And the main thing I'm going to talk about here is basically the loadouts and the ways it's going to work, but also there's going to be a heavy look at the fractured personalities. So Transcendent C'tan's, once the entrapped star gods around, the Necrons manage to enslave them. I do find them odd to find them in the heavy support section when you have the Nightbringer and the Deceivers, which are essentially the character versions, in elites. They do fairly similar things, but the others have very specific rules where the Transcendent C'tan essentially does have limited amounts of customization. The only weapon it does have available to it is the Crackling Tendrils. Not as nicely named as the special characters, but I'm truly nitpicking on that one because one of the special characters ones is called the Star God Fist, so can't really complain there. Then the Crackling Tendrils do seem slightly, a little bit lackluster. In terms of stats, they're actually really, really good. I mean, you've got Strength 7, -4 AP, and D6 damage, which is, possible of tearing things a lot apart. The only thing that would be a bit more of an issue is that it's just short of that Strength 8. Now that Strength 8 does help go through things like knights and heavy vehicles, where at the moment you'd be 5s to wound. If you could just get 1 extra strength, it'd be fantastic. And most infantry you'd be wounding on 2s in that case, which would be very, very good. But because it's not Strength 8, or maybe because it doesn't ignore invul saves, Burst Stratagem, I think it can use Entropic Strike to get around it. That might just be Necron characters. It's not the best one either way, it's only 1 attack. Or something that gives it, basically what it really could do would be like a sweeping attack. So it did, if you're facing against a Horde army, because 4 attacks that may hit on 2s but may still fail to wound. If you're facing Orc boys, you're going to get torn apart because you just can't bring them down. D6 damage as well, also you can do a lot of damage, but makes them quite unreliable. Overall, although it seems impressive, there are just ways around it. 4 attacks does not have enough to really threaten things that have like even an invul save and you're not reaching strength 8. Your AP is fantastic, but you don't have any guaranteed damage, so you might end up rolling loads of 1s and not doing very much. And if you enter hordes, you're really going to have a hard time because generally you're not going to kill any more than maybe 3 a turn. And that is going to be a real pain, and they're just going to chip away at you. However, it is the fresh personalities that allows the Transcendent C'tan a bit more options of how you play. Honestly, there is 2 of them there that you should really bank on, one of them being Cosmic Tyrant. This model can use 2 different powers of C'tan at the end of each of your movement phases instead of only 1. Depending on the combination, this overall improves your damage capabilities, throwing out mortal wounds quite a bit more, which is quite nice. The other one to consider is probably the Immune to Natural Law, which gives you +1 to your saves, and then you get a 3-up invul, which does drastically improve your survivability when you do rock, a thunder storm shield essentially. So that 3-up invul is much appreciated. The recover wounds, is not bad. The reroll wounding is okay as well in case of you're fighting something that's a little bit tougher. And then the advanced one is tricky, but say if you want to really jump down the line and get into Cosmic Fire range, then yeah, I can see that one being useful as well. The only one I think is kind of not the best is the one with an aura effect that ignores cover. It won't really affect the Transcendent C'tan, and it really depends. Cover is not as prominent in this edition, so unless you're like David who plays Imperial Fist, then you'll hunker down. Well then, yeah, I can see it playing an effect. But really you want to maybe go with the Cosmic Tyrant so you can get more abilities, and the saving throw for survivability, because if you do end up getting into combat, it's going to be a bit trickier on that one. The other ones have their purpose, but they are harder to pull off, I feel. One thing I should also mention is I'd personally avoid using the 2 dice trying to get multiple abilities. There may be that one time you're like, yeah, I got Cosmic Tyrant and Immune to Natural Law, but then there might be times where you get like 2 abilities, you're like, well, why did I even do that? And even worse, what if you roll 2 of the same and it's absolutely pointless? Then you're going to be really questioning on that one. So I personally avoid it. Go for, reliability. I'm going to go Cosmic Tyrant because both of the Catan Powers are excellent, or go with Immune to Natural Law because you just really want to shove them into combat. Fine. But I would say you're facing Custodes, then obviously both of them would be excellent because you can throw out more mortal wounds or survive their attacks. But generally I wouldn't roll. It's too risky. If you want to, power that way, go for it. But generally choose one of the abilities and you get more leeway out of that one, because more times than not you're either going to roll ability you don't want, or even worse, if you roll a double, it's going to hurt. Right, on to Catan Powers. I won't go into Catan Powers too much, as I pretty much covered them in my overview of the Necrons, which you can go and see. However, I will mention a few of the favourite combinations and highlights of them rather than going into them all in pure detail. Cosmic Fire, probably my favourite ability I've got, is the AoE power where you can attack lots of different units around the C'tan. It's useful if you are playing a very aggressive playstyle and effective if your opponent uses lots of multiple small units. You do also need to be in incredibly, close positioning to get the most out of it. But if you do get there, then you can activate like a bomb and do really well. This way you might see the transdimensional displacement really good, because essentially you get 21-inch movement, move up the field, and then explode with Cosmic Fire. Could be really good if your opponent's like playing multiple units and really close to the deployment. That could be really nice. It generally hasn't worked well for me, but then again, the Catan Powers never usually do. But I do get lots of rolls against different units, and I do see it as one of the most competitive ones if you are aggressive. With such close combat powers, you also want a little bit more of a range variety in case you don't make it there in turn 1. Best I find is Skyfalling Stars, handy way to target multiple units. Even if it's a 5-man squad, it's still really reliable. And Antimatter Meter is okay, huge range, but you don't get to choose your target, but it is really reliable. Seismic Assault and Time's Arrow, okay, I find they're not too bad. Time's Arrow is a great way to target characters, but very unreliable to use. And Seismic Assault, if you are going to use it, it's really good against hordes, but that's about it, and I wouldn't count on it. However, and what I'd end on this one, because I'm going to end on the Transcendent C'tan here, when it comes to these Catan Powers and things, etc., and I suppose I'll speak about stratagems here, none of them I'd really rate. One of them does allow you, I think, to change the fractured personality, and the other one is like change over Catan Powers. Generally, I don't like abilities that allow you to change mid-game. Usually, now there may be times where you do need it, but really you want to make sure that you have banked on the ability that is going to get you the most leeway through the whole game. I don't see the advantage of really spending command points changing over, but that's by the by in that one. Stratagem-wise, I'm not going to really recommend any. If you need to change your abilities, fine, but that shows maybe a little bit of poor planning or circumstances have changed. So here we come to, I'm going to go into the speculation side. Now, I wouldn't usually talk about speculation, but it's when units I feel aren't doing too good, I like to maybe speak about ways that I'd like to see them improve. And keep in mind, this has been filmed before Psychic Awakening, so I don't know if the C'tans are going to improve. But I'd like to see in Psychic Awakening a different table. The one from the Catan Powers are all quite aggressive damage dealing. I'd like to see ones that maybe have a different table, ones that hinder your opponent or help the Necrons. Maybe not help the Necrons, but one that might hinder your opponent, maybe augmenting reality around them. I know there's a lot of things that involve time change with Necrons as well. Just a bit more of a different one that isn't all about damage, but ones that can be, you know, hindrances or augments. I'd just like to see more tables for C'tans, and with that, I think you'd maybe actually see a little bit more variety and a little bit more playstyle on them. So that's kind of it for my video when it comes to the Transcendent C'tan. It is a unit that I think has so much potential, but due to its limited stuff at the moment, it is kind of not so useful. I've seen a few interesting lists where people actually use almost entirely Transcendent C'tans and the Nightbringer, the Deceiver. Sometimes they'll bring along a Tesseract Vault, and they look really cool, but I don't know how competitive they are. But it's like they just like use all their weird abilities, and it looks a lot of fun. But competitively, they just don't seem to add too much to the Necron force. They don't synergize well because they don't have Legion rules, which really does hurt them quite a wee bit. So thanks again for watching. Please comment, share, like and subscribe. I'm interested to hear what people say on Transcendent C'tans. Usually I'd bring the Nightbringer or anything because I think the combat element's pretty good. But I'm interested to hear what people have to say on Transcendent C'tan, so please comment and let me know what you think on that one. Check us out on social media where you can see our upcoming projects, things that we've been working on, and check us out on Patreon as well to help support the channel, bring you more content because we absolutely love doing so. So thanks again, we'll see you on our Tabletop Assault Battle Report.